From the American Museum of Natural History in New York City and beaming out across all of space and time, this is Star Talk, where science and pop culture collide. I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, your personal astrophysicist. We're featuring my interview with Norman Lear. Norman Lear, the legendary TV writer and producer, perhaps best known for creating All in the Family back in the 1970s. So I've got as my comedic co-host, Chuck Nice. Chuck, always good to have you here.
Always good to be here, Neil.
Star Talk. Chuck Nice,
Thank you.
give it up. You feeling sitcom-y?
I kind of always feel sitcom-y.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I wake up and there's a laugh track to my life. Some people have a soundtrack to their life. I have a laugh track to my life.
So you turn it up if nobody's laughing. That's
Right.
So any discussion of sitcoms in America? I need somebody who's an expert on it, and I didn't even know such a person existed in this land.
Well, it ain't me.
It ain't you, buddy, sitting right to your left. And it is Saul Austerlitz. Saul, welcome to Star Talk.
Thanks for having me.
So you wrote a book called Sitcom, A History in 24 Episodes, from I Love Lucy to Community.
That's right.
And these are like your favorite shows throughout.
Yeah, it's a mixture of some of my favorite shows and some shows like Gilligan's Island. I've watched more episodes of Gilligan's Island than anyone else should ever have to. So I'm definitely an expert now.
So can you comment on shows that are rich in social commentary and the risk that the producer takes?
Norman Lear really pioneered in that sphere. You know, the shows from the 1960s in particular were very bland, very domestic, and Norman Lear really blew that up. A show like All in the Family premiered, and it did all of the things that TV was not supposed to do: to be topical, to be adventurous, to be daring.
And not supposed to do means no one thinks you can make money doing it.
Right.
It's all about money, right?
Right, and being scared of really engaging with the issues of the era. So shows like All in the Family and MASH and the Mary Tyler Moore Show, all of which premiere pretty much in the same 2-year period, are suddenly tackling Vietnam and civil rights and feminism in a way that had never really happened.
So somebody had to say, this is a topic deserving of even a sitcom, not just a documentary.
Exactly.
Right? So given how audacious such a step is, it makes you wonder what could have possibly motivated him to break the mold.
What was motivating me, just life, you know, what we and our families were living. We talked about what was happening with our kids, what was impacting them in the greater culture.
But you have to think that somebody wants to watch that. And before your programs, TV then and often now was an escape for people. So they didn't have to think hard thoughts, right? I mean, so the audacity is saying, this is real and I'm gonna show it back to you.
My father went to prison when I was 9 years old. People are buying the furniture in the house. My father is in prison. My mother, and some strange fool puts his hand on my shoulder and says, you're the man of the house now. Now that's sad as could be and funny as hell. I must have started at that point to see the humor in the human condition, because there's a lot of that.
Now, I always wondered what must have gone through Norman Lear's mind to turn sticky social issues into things that are just hilarious, making everyone laugh. What mental process empowered him to make people laugh over things that might otherwise sound like tragic topics? How did you make people laugh? Because that's a secret recipe. I don't know what that is. How did you do that?
That few people can do something doesn't make it a secret. Edith trying to tell her neighbor.
Edith Bunker.
Edith Bunker on All in the Family, trying to tell her neighbor that she may have breast cancer, that she, Edith, may have breast cancer. Now, it's a very serious moment, but we know Edith, and we know she can't say the words, not because she has the problem, but because breast is a word people don't say in polite company in Edith's mind.
Certainly not in the 1970s.
Certainly not. Well, she'd be the same Edith today if I were writing her, but certainly not in the 1970s. And the other woman, who we know and the audience is going to find out, has had breast cancer, and has been through it and has no problem. There's no hilarity to be had there, but there is amusement and laughs. And so, and those laughs are heartier and warmer because the audience is caring a great deal about the outcome.
Yeah, I hadn't thought to think about it that way. If you're invested in, if you care, then it's a different kind of laugh than if it's just hilarity, right? That's a brilliant distinction there.
And we went for those kinds of laughs. The audience were involved in a serious problem with these people. And when they were called on to laugh out of the other guy's frustration and fear, it made it more, the humor more tender, and as a result, funnier.
What a guy, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Saul, is there a difference between funny then and funny today?
I think that the kind of topicality that Lear practiced is not as much in evidence today. It's really fallen away. It's been replaced by a different kind of comedy, which I think is equally sophisticated, but is more self-referential, more comedy about comedy, and less invested in the kinds of tangled and thorny social issues.
What's a comedy about comedy? What do you mean? I don't know.
Something like Community or 30 Rock, shows that are very much about the process of making comedy, that are about sitcoms about sitcoms.
Oh, okay. Norman Lear pioneered sitcom television, but I'm a science person, so I always like to know, has science touched people's lives in any way? And it can affect you, I think, even if you're not conscious of it. For example, what's the #1 sitcom today?
The Big Bang Theory.
The Big Bang Theory, and I think we have a relationship with that. Even if you don't know anybody like that, their characters are entertaining, though they be caricatures. They're entertaining, and so what kind of audacity did it require to pitch a show on science when no one else was doing it, no one else had ever done it? What does that take?
I have a theory that they didn't say it was a show about science. They lived on the name alone, The Big Bang Theory. And the people in Hollywood I like it.
Okay, you think it was just... So science has changed over the years and can influence you in different ways. Can you reflect on TV's attitudes towards science over the years?
I think popular culture in general has gotten a more positive attitude towards science recently, away from the kind of doom and gloom of scientists causing doomsday or blowing up the world.
It's always the scientist's fault. But in the 60s, we had My Favorite Martian.
Sure.
Right, and we had I Dream of Jeannie.
Sure.
That one of my favorite shows ever.
Because there were astronauts or because of the genie?
Yes, that's why, because of the astronauts in the show. Yeah, it was a sensitive time in my hormonal development that show happened to come along. And all I can think of is how much of an idiot he is, that there's this woman, he's a genie he can do anything with, and he doesn't.
Right.
But he's distracted by his astronaut career, I guess.
Yeah, because we all know the first wish that most of us would have is, I want 2 more of you. 2 more genies who look just like you.
So would you agree that things are improving?
Yeah, I think you can look at a film like Interstellar, which has a really positive outlook on science, and the scientists are the heroes of the film. And
they're fully fleshed out characters with emotions and families and their husbands and wives and children and grandparents.
Exactly, they're not just sort of Dr. Strangelove figures.
Right. Or wire-haired people with lab coats that you only address when you need an answer, and then you leave them behind, not caring if they've ever been in love or whether they actually have genuine personalities or character.
Wait a minute, scientists feel love? Get out of here.
So Norman Lear is 92 years old, and I did not want to end my interview with him without asking him for words of wisdom for us all. Let's find out.
Somebody told me this once. I was fussing around trying to say something like this in answer to a question in front of some people, and a rabbinic-looking guy, I was younger, he was older, came up to me afterwards. He said, Mr. Lear, I want to try to tell you in short what you took so long trying to... He was criticizing me in the sweetest way. And he said, a man should have a garment with 2 pockets. In the first pocket should be a piece of paper on which is written, I am but dust and ashes. I am that proverbial grain of sand on the beach of life. In the second pocket should be a piece of paper on which is written, for me the world was created. Well, few things have resonated so clearly, cleanly with me. Well, I mean, what was Neil Tyson born for, if not for this moment? And this moment is for me. The fellow holding the camera doesn't know it, but he was born to be here now for me. And obviously I was born 92 years ago to be here for all of you.
Wow. I'm confused. My jeans have 5 pockets.
I'm reminded of a quote similar to that. I think it was by Mark Twain, who said, "The 2 most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you learn why."